And we are live. I am live and on time and in HD, thanks to the request of a few fans who suggested that they enjoy the content, but they're having trouble reading the screen. So I've decided to go with a 7-day trial of the, I can't understand why their pricing model is like this, StreamYard, where normally I do the shows honestly for free in 720p and it's fine, but they jump up to $50 a month just to have the 4K, which seemed to me to be odd. But thank you to Bruce for the suggestion. I'm going to give this a try because I did agree that sometimes when I'm sharing the screen, it was rough. Today is April 26, 2024. The sun is on the way. I have worked out. I have stretched. I've started my day on the right foot. So I'm very energetic. But more importantly, I am very, very excited about the topic today because AI tools are so relevant to everything that all of us are doing, especially with the concept of simplicity. Let me check my audio. Okay, I'm good to go. So today's topic right here on the screen, and I've got the slides to prove it. We're going to talk about the concept of how it is that we can use AI tools for getting more done in your business more efficiently. Especially, I like to put a catch on this. Like if you are of my generation or older, you're really going to benefit here because these are things that are otherwise not that difficult to do on your own if you take a million years to learn how to do it, but have been difficult to become good at in a competitive way. In other words, like by the time you learn how to be really good at them, you probably will already be behind. And so instead of doing that, we're going to make it where you can just get a head start by using these specific tools for the best uses. And I've compiled this list. I'm organizing my desk a little bit here. I've compiled this list so that we can essentially give you a choice of things that you can use selectively, but yet surgically to get stuff done that you really need to have for almost all of the things you'll do with the launch kit, WordPress, starting an online business. And okay, so with less distractions, I've set up my desk here a little bit better. I'm going to just jump right into it because today I've decided not to put these in any particular order other than alphabetical in order to protect the innocent. No, because I decided to give you guys bonuses. Instead of just 5 tools, I compiled a list of 10. And one of them is an index that you're going to see. I could have ended up with more. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to put myself as much as possible out of the way, and let me see how this scales. Can I get as much as possible in there? That's about as good as I'm going to get. Let's do this. Okay, number 1. Again, in alphabetical order, and good morning to everybody who's piling in. If you're here, say hi. I am drinking my bulletproof coffee still. Adobe Firefly. Now, what I'm going to probably do, I'm going to go through this list, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you some examples, maybe in order to avoid wasting a lot of time, and if you wanted to come back. But Adobe Firefly is a tool that I actually ended up getting through Ben's Bytes, which is a list of AI recommendations. And it's a tool that I would not otherwise even consider offering. I mean, completely fair, completely honest. I am not a huge fan of anything Adobe anymore. However, Firefly does a really good job, especially when I tried it even on my mobile, of doing text prompt-based image generation. Why is this useful? This is useful, for example, when you want to have featured images of your blog, when you want to send something that is interesting to the human eye to accent your Twitter post or your social media. Instead of literally using the other tools like I'm going to show you, you can use a text-based prompt and make some stuff happen. And like I say, I'm going to come back after I do this list and play with a few of these live to show you what I've been doing. So let's say you're somebody who's, Gen Xer and older. You really know that you have to put the content out for your students. You really don't want to hire an author an artiste to author your images. You can literally use text-based prompts with the concepts that are involved, come up with a template, and AI through Adobe Firefly, as well as through another tool I'm going to show you, Canva, will allow you to create all of the images you need for featured images inside of your blog posts, your pages, your lessons, your courses. Adobe Firefly is free to try. I believe you have to join their cloud. I'm not going to get into the pricing of all of these. Let's assume that these are almost always things you can try for free, maybe use for free, but like StreamYard, there's a point at which you might decide to pay if you're using it enough for the service. And I can definitely attest that I don't use Firefly for my daily stuff. I use this one, Canva. If there is, thank you for the bell. If there is one tool that you must have, you absolutely, I would never say must. You must have this tool. You must have Canva. I'm going to stick with this format. You must have Canva. Canva is Melanie Perkins and her now husband. I can't believe it's been 15 years. It's replaced every single graphic and photo creation tool I've ever used. And I use it for all of my thumbnails. I use it for all of my promo video things that aren't, real-time videos. Like if I wanted to do an intro or an outro. Canva allows you for $12 US a month, unlimited use, commercial royalty free of all these images, all these videos, all these elements, everything you need. Other than there's one other one on this list I'm foreshadowing that is also mind-blowing, which is Fathom. Canva is my number one item on this whole list. Now, what about the AI? They have a tool in there for AI creation that works on the copywriting, bulk creation of things like slides, although this one I did a hybrid. It works for creating the images themselves, for editing the images. They've got full AI inside of there so that if you're just not as comfortable or handy with like, how do I get stuff done? It's there to assist you. And we're going to talk about this after I go through the rest of the list. So Canva is my slightly biased absolute number one. You must pay the $12, get it, do everything in Canva. There, I said it. Okay. ChatGPT. Hi, good morning, Daniel. ChatGPT is the one that kicked all of this off. Now, I'm going to talk in a little nuanced form, and then we're going to play with some of the stuff. At first, I had a love fest with ChatGPT. I crept up on it slowly. There was the original, the OpenAI, the company underneath it had like their original engine 1, then 2, then it became 3. And then around 3.5, it hit its stride. And I was like, oh, enamored. And I started paying and I started doing coding. I started doing copywriting. I started doing tasks. But then the competitors came out. And because of its popularity and because of Sam Altman and because of all this drama and everything else, to be completely fair, ChatGPT is no longer my favorite choice. It has certain advantages, and I'm going to explain what they are. But let me also explain why it's not my favorite. When you're working with a language, a learning language model, an LLM, that's what these are. You can interface with it through a chat, which they provide for free, or you can do an API, or you can do it through another interface, like a graphical interface, like Adobe's product does, that allows you a combination of controls plus text. But think of it like taking on a relationship with a 12 to 13-year-old modern teenager with an iPhone in their hand. Everything you ask of it needs to be explained in a certain way, in a certain order, with a certain tone of your voice. You sometimes find yourself pulling your hair out because it does what you want for the first 5 minutes, then it quits. Sometimes it makes arguments that are nonsensical or hallucinates. So I had my first success with ChatGPT using it to code some of the new features into launch flows or to improve some various things for WP Launchify, the Launch Kit installer. But then as it became popular, they started programming in all these argumentative barriers. I can't do that. That's public domain. And then I would answer it with, it's a public website. It's not public domain. I'm a researcher. Here's the summary. Use these tools with the knowledge that you get exactly out of it what you put into it. And for many of them, you really, really need to do a good job at being a camp counselor, a parent, a single parent in particular. And if you take that tone and logic, you're going to get much better results out of it than if you get frustrated. ChatGPT's competitor, direct competitor, the one that I've had the greatest success with is Claude. The company's Anthropic instead of OpenAI. I believe I like it so much because I am writing incredible amounts of stuff in code. And I'm going to demonstrate how you could as well, even being a non-coder. that I then execute in the framework of WordPress. And unlike ChatGPT, Claude is not arguing with me. Claude is not hallucinating. There's 3 levels of Claude. The 2 top ones are Sonnet and Opus. They have tons of knowledge. Now, I'm going to give a point back to ChatGPT. ChatGPT 4 is connected live to the internet. Claude is not. It's connected to its previous learning model, which I believe dates out around 2023. Jeff brings up Typing Mind is a good wrapper for all AI tools. Yes, we're going to talk about wrappers. Poe, Typing Mind, this curated.ai. Good point. We're going to come back to this, Jeff. So when you're trying to do research or write code or ask, like I built a tool for LaunchKit that searches the internet. The term is actually called scraping. That essentially goes out and looks at live websites to get data. This used to be a big thing for me in the 90s and the 2000s. We would build tools, and it's a very popular thing that you would do normally with a language called Python. But here's where I'm going to combine this together a kind of Spence on caffeine way. I use WordPress. I've got WordPress as a framework that runs plugins that I write or programs that I write in PHP, JavaScript, jQuery, HTML, React, and so forth. And I'm comfortable with those languages. And since I can run it inside of a WordPress site, I can actually have like my free open source framework running on my own servers, whereas Python is a language that runs really well on your own desktop. But here's the point. On a lot of those things that I built, I needed something where I needed ChatGPT maybe to go out and see what was the current state of affairs for these various websites I wanted to get data from. Now, once I did that, I could go back to Claude, even though it's older data, and say, I know the data is from 2022, but this is this kind of stuff I need from these locations. Go out and write me the code that I can put on WordPress to do the actual research, to do the scraping. So if you follow my drift, I kind of had teenager 1 help me figure out what's live. Then I took that data and I talked to college student Claude to help me write the actual code. And the code I actually use inside of the framework that I love to use, which is the free open source WordPress, because then the data can be stored and saved and used inside of the framework for also many amazing, great things. So that's a good example of like Claude is my favorite tool to work with, especially for coding, but it doesn't have live access to stuff. And here's, by the way, I made this new thing so I can do this. I can put my fingers out. Plus, it also doesn't have the digital image creation. So another point in favor, let's say, of ChatGPT is it has DALL-E, which allows you to generate images from text prompts and otherwise. It also is shockingly cool on both of them that you can drop in an image of something, even if it's like your WordPress website. You can take a snapshot, especially of the code, or if you're looking at the HTML, and you can say, here's a problem I've got with this website. Look at it. And it has the ability, both Claude and ChatGPT, to analyze what it sees and give you a recommendation. Now, with both of them, keep in mind, if you trust your 12-year-old to tell you 100% of the truth, even if they're the most amazing kid in the world, and again, I have a 13-year-old now, and I have 2 other sons that are adults, you're kidding yourself, because kids will be kids, and your ChatGPT or your Claude will hallucinate or fib or tell you stuff the first time that you're like, what you talking about? So just be honest with yourself that the tool is the tool, but right now you still have to be on top of it. Okay. Let's switch directions. And again, I'm going to show you all these in person. This is an oddball one. This is curated.ai. This is a tools collection. So like Jeff was suggesting, this is an index of 8 trillion things that are alternative tools, because I assure you, once you get the bug for using the tools, you're going to start saying to yourself, like, I can't believe how much I'm able to get done by myself rather than hiring a VA or hiring an expert. You have to be a thinking person. I read today, as part of my Friday warm-up, I probably got this in Hacker News. I can't remember. It might have been in one of the mail lists. But basically, that being a good developer, being a good person who uses online tools is 11/12 thinking. Oh, there, Kurt, literally, you said that as I was saying it. I'll make it easier. 9/10 of what you do with these tools is thinking about what you want so that you can ask it in a way that will get what you need, just like talking to a 12-year-old, for example. If I ask my 13-year-old, he's very, very good kid and loves to please and everything. We need 2% milk. I can't just say, go get some 2% milk. I have to say, go down to the Walgreens at the corner of blah and blah. I need the blue label 2% milk from Hillshire Dairies. It's on the left side of the Walgreens when you take a left. It's $2.99. I need you to pay with a debit card or credit card and put in the code number for our, blah, blah, blah. I have to be so specific because otherwise he's going to come back with like a half pint of dairy creamer. He's a great kid. He's smart, straight A student. But like, if you are not specific with the tools, you are going to end up with exactly those kinds of results. Anne says, I find that massaging AI results really helps me hone my thinking. Exactly. And today, as I'm going to show you, I made 100% of today using AI tools. So that I promised you, I've tested, I have made them part of my life. I'm going to share with you in the second part of this, all of the stuff that we're talking about and how I've actually used it both on a daily basis as well as today. Okay. If there was going to be anything that would challenge Canva for my number one spot, it would be Fathom Video, Fathom.video. The reason that it's not going to take the number one spot is because it's not technically an AI tool. What it is when I do my 3, 4, 5 calls a day, 4 days a week on Zoom, as many of you do, I used to use a tool called Otter.ai, and I was really excited that it was going to be awesome. And it was, to be fair to them, awesome enough at the time it came out. I don't think it's that awesome. Fathom, when it came out, was free, still is free, but they have a paid version that I think is $9, $10 a month that has AI summaries in it. Fathom is game over, life-changing. Every single call I have with somebody has the video recorded. It's fully transcribed. It's indexed. AI summaries, AI transcripts. I can refer back and find stuff. It will put it into categories. It's essentially like having a very expensive video stenographer working for me whenever I have a conversation. And why is this relevant to my business? My business is relationships. My business is teaching. My business is like, did we say that? Did we not say that? Fathom has me covered. Every single thing I do is memorialized, and it automatically sends these transcripts with the videos and the summaries to my clients or prospective clients, along with links that we talked about. So when I say you're going to go to WP Launchify and click on the pricing tab, and it just, I don't have to do any of that anymore. So if you are not using Fathom, run, do not walk, to give that one a look. I told you there's going to be more than 5. There's 10 because I'm doing this in a way that I just couldn't stop the list. Grammarly is one of the granddaddies of this whole setup, and it is now free to start. Grammarly was the one that when we didn't have other tools, or we didn't have, like in WordPress, my friend Arnie Palmer's got Bertha. Bertha is a specific to WordPress version, but Grammarly was a tool that would allow you, even if you were pretty good at writing, to say things in a way that was better or proper or grammatically correct. And it's still very useful because it allows you to find, like a human thesaurus, a professor. It allows you to find a different way to say things so that you don't sound either mundane or whatever. And we see this in all the other tools as well, because if you ask the AI assistant in a prompt to take a tone, then it writes it differently. Like oftentimes when I'm writing my Friday's summary for YouTube, I'll be like, too salesy, make it more personal, be more informative, sound like Spencer Foreman from spencerforeman.com. It has the capacity to understand and adjust the tone and dial it up or dial it down a notch, which is really fascinating, but also powerful once you embrace. But Grammarly is a solid contender. And because it's free, if you're writing content for blog posts or whatever, you can essentially just say, check this out. Make sure it sounds right. I don't sound like an idiot. Lumen 5 is one of many tools, including those that are available in Canva, for making video content. And I am on the fence about this in the same way I'm on the fence a little bit about how I actually make websites using Cadence starter templates or components. We've all seen through ZipWP, we've seen through Cadence itself and Astra, and everybody under the sun thinks that making websites with AI prompts is a good idea. I am probably in the minority of people who say, I don't really think so. Here's why. And this is how it applies to Lumen. I've been making videos since we were able to make digital videos. This is how I got into the internet with my flying videos. And I used to have hey kids, I used to have an old stack of of Pinnacle recording studio machines to process. I mean, I think I spent like $10,000 on these computers with hardware to make these postage stamp size videos before YouTube. I really sound old when I say that. But this is this is like, I grew up making black and white photography in my basement with trays of stuff. And sometimes I think I miss those days. When I make websites and I teach with the launch kit, I love having rows of stuff you just stack together like Lego blocks. I love having IKEA furniture that you just combine together because I built houses the same way. Yes, I could ask an AI to go make some new blocks. The part that I find that's frustrating that I don't agree is better is it's faster and easier for me to visually just see some example blocks, put them in place and start typing. Now, I type really fast and I'm already good with the mouse. So maybe that's just a workflow for me that's better. But like when I go to IKEA, eating my meatballs and my lingonberry sauce, I like to see the model showrooms and I go, that one or this one. My visual works better than to say it and have it put it on the screen. And then I got to go like, really? Okay. So your choice, but Lumen 5 is the video version of this where you go, I need a video about a dog flying through the city with a cape on. And it makes like real video. Now, also understand back to my number 1 and number 2 choices for AI chatbots. You've got inside of ChatGPT 4 this promise, and you've also from Microsoft, I didn't list these, got a new product coming out that makes 4K cinema quality video on voice prompts. Like this is the video version of what DALL-E is or what the Adobe product is. I do believe that's going to be useful, but as it is right now, I personally either make live video content myself that I edit with on my screen on my desktop, like using either on Macintosh, I use TechSmith's Stream. Is it StreamYard? What is it? I forgot the name of the product now. It's Stream. Let me see if I can. It's the Telestream editor. I want to say it's called StreamYard, but it could be called ScreenFlow on Mac, or on the PC here, I use Camtasia. Now, those are very rudimentary tools. There's greater tools, but like for doing screen casts and stuff, I just need basic editing and the ability to do things like, turn myself into an alpha channel. When I'm using Canva or I'm using one of these other tools, what I'm making are clips. And then the clips, I just essentially need to edit together in the right place with, let's say, voiceover and so forth. Charlie says, I love Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid. Yeah, I mean, for writing, no question. But for video, I think it gets back to that same conversation. I have been editing video for a long time. And I used to use all the tools that would come out, even the Pro, Apple Final Cut Pro. I mean, ridiculousness. You don't need that anymore. And so Lumen is a really simple tool. There's other online tools like Video, like VEDO, that allow you to just edit without paying any money. And where does this come in importance? Well, I was talking to Ann about this the other day. I enjoy making these 1 minute or maybe 1.5 minute max promo videos or inspirational videos using my iPhone. So I take my iPhone and I use Instagram and I record myself live, and Instagram, not AI, but Instagram allows me to just put all the online captioning and text. And I can do that while I'm walking around the park and share it in 5 places. Those are the kind of tools that you could just use selectively. We're not stuck to our desktops anymore. So that's all my suggestions for these are that I've got a kitchen full of appliances. I love to cook. I use my air fryer now more than any of my other kitchen tools. Does that make me a bad cook? No. It just means that I don't need my toaster. I don't need to have the grill. I don't have to open up the charcoal. I mean, there's things that I can do now in 5 minutes with quick cleanup and get the outcome, get the result. That's the point of these tools. Why do you want to do it? Think about it, like Kurt was suggesting. Why do you want to do this thing? What do you need it for in your business? Do you need to hire somebody or can you do it yourself? And can we program the tool to improve itself? Now, I wanted to throw in for number 10, and then we're going to go back. I'm going to share some of these live. I'm going to switch the screen. Perplexity AI is I want to say my third or my fourth, because there's a tool called Poe that I'm going to show you that's more of an aggregator. But Perplexity is like a hybrid between a web browser and an AI. I like Perplexity if very similar to what we talked about. It claims it does not have live access to the internet, which is probably true. But I like it because it gives a broader answer with more internet-based results than if I ask ChatGPT or if I ask Claude. So when I ask those tools like to do something, it gives me like reference links and so forth. Whereas Perplexity is sort of like a souped up Chrome Google search. Like it literally will go out and find stuff, even some images. And if you were thinking of it more like an assistant than a teenager giving you an answer, it's kind of like, here's a good example. Like if you ever shopped at Costco and you're lazy and you don't want to go, or you're busy, or it was COVID, you can use Instacart. They shop at other stores too, but I would call Instacart and a real person would take my shopping list and go to Costco, and it would occasionally ask me stuff like, they're out of peaches. Do you want, nectarines instead? And it would text me. It kind of feels like that. It's doing my errands for me, but beyond the scope of just giving me singular answers. Okay. So let's just review the list real quick, and then we're going to go through them one by one. I'm going to go. Okay. So if we go to number 1, it was Adobe Firefly, Canva, ChatGPT 4, Claude AI, Create AI, which is an index. And by the way, one of the things I want to show you in there is the tool that I use on my iPhone, which is for creating virtual headshots. I'm going to tell you why. Fathom, Grammarly, Lumen 5, Perplexity AI. I would love to say this is comprehensive. This is like one morning's list of stuff. Now, I use all of these. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention. But oh my God, we are living in amazing times because every day something new comes out. So my takeaway before we switch is to say, have fun with these things, but also use them in a way that is thoughtful for your end result, like your business, right? So let's do this together. Let's go back here. I'm going to show you some examples. So I got to open up another window here. And some of these I may have trouble signing into, so you'll forgive me. I'm going to switch screens on the fly. It's Spence doing his on the fly sharing screen switch. Let's see if I can pull this off here. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if it will log me in on this remote browser or if it's going to need me to sign in again. It is here. Trust me. I may have to open another window. Let's see. The thing I don't like about Adobe, I'm totally honest with you, is I don't like the fact that they require you to essentially, and let's share the screen. They require you to essentially commit to this cloud thing. And I'm not against it on principle. I'm against it because it seems like they're really greedy from another era. So their tools are okay, but I'm just going to be fair. And I don't think their tools are the best of all the tools. This one was really creative though, because let me see if I can find where it's at. I thought that this one did such a great job with generating stuff on the fly. Okay. So now here's another reason why I feel like lost with them. I got to get all involved. Here it is, into their situation to find what it is. Now I know I've got it. So let's see if I can get to what I was working on. Okay, right. And learn more by now, but I'm pretty sure that I've got it. So wants me to buy it. Hang in there, kids. See, this is I've kind of proven to myself my own point. Like I am mental and I know this is my fault, but I just don't know how to get it to go to the thing I was working on. Here we go. I think maybe it's trying to sell me everything. Come on, kids, get me in there. Get me in there. Otherwise, I'm passing on Adobe Firefly. All right. You know what? Let's just do it like this. Let's just use a generation tool because let's give me a sample. So let's do white shaggy dog flying through a major city with a cape on and a cigar in its mouth with sunglasses. Now I know this is ridiculous. Here we go, finally into it. You generate the initial image and you can use an inspiration. Jeff says Affinity Designer is good. Canva, right? I'll show you on Canva how this is even more awesome on Canva. But so what's neat, I thought about this. The quality is amazing, and I've used DALL-E too. So first of all, it gives me some choices, and these are pretty darn good. One of the things it gives me, which is pretty useful, is I can use a different model. Right now I'm using their new Firefly 3, and you can choose between artistic or photo. Let me go full screen so that I don't torture you with Spencer Foreman here. Let me see if I can expand that screen a bit. Because by the way, Jeff, hopefully this 4K is going to work better. Thank you for the suggestion. So here I could choose between artistic or photo, and I can have it set to automatically choose. I can also use what's called a reference photo, which I think is really cool. I can upload something from before and say, make it kind of look like this, right? It might make it look like some kind of Arthur C. Clarke fantasy. Let's see what it does to the images. And what's interesting to me is that this is a generative tool. So like it can keep, it just, that just got weird, I think, to be honest. So I would undo that one. But then you got other features here, right? You can use various effects, like maybe this bokeh effect or synthwave. These are just aesthetic effects. You could change the color and the tone. So let's generate, and we end up with a photo that I can then use as a model. Now, I did use that as a model here. I was prepared to share with you if I could find my previously made stuff. These are pretty damn good. And then you can download and share. I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff. I think I had, let me see if I can share here. I had an image that I created before for I gave it a prompt of, what did I say? I said, a business person holding, hang with me so if I don't bore you guys to tears here. I said like a business person holding out a tool. Here it is. So let's see if I can share that. All right. So I created this. The prompt was like, give me a business person, photorealistic, holding a 3D cube. And then what I used is Adobe's tools, which allow you to do old fashioned like words and letters better, because AI does a really crappy job with words. So to that extent, I was able to edit it a bit. And I think the result was pretty damn good. I mean, for the time involved and so forth. All right, let's go on with the list. The next one I want to show you is Canva. Okay, now Canva is my bread and my butter. Let's see too. Can I? Yeah, I can go in here. All right, that's good. So at least you'll see me in there. Every single thing I do is in Canva, as I mentioned. So here's today's slides I did with Canva. Now, there's a tool called Bulk Edit with Canva. But if you go in there, just general tools, the things that are amazing is you can organize and create your design. You can start it from scratch. You have all these different things. The AI is part of all of them. I won't go into great detail. One of the things I wanted to share, though, is like when I need stuff. First of all, my typical stuff is, make a YouTube thumbnail. And I just am inspired by there's 10,000 starting points. And then I can either upload my own images of whatever I want to use. I can use the apps that allow me to just do crazy stuff like skeuomorphic or, all these different things. Or I can do videos. Now, with the videos, I love this because I can choose from unlimited royalty-free images or videos. And let's say happy business person having meeting. And if I go under elements, I can choose from YouTube videos. I can choose from shapes, sizes, audio. I think here's the real videos. So what I'll often get is I'll just get these little clips, and these clips can be put together and then turned into a really amazing end result with almost no effort at all. And what I'll often do is I'll take this stuff and I'll layer it together and then download it and use it in my regular video editor. So Canva is just craziness. I'm not going to say any more than that. All right. Next is ChatGPT. All right. Let's go argue with ChatGPT. Now I have the premium account. I've used this. You have the choice of which engine, like ChatGPT 3.5 or 4. The new one that's out there is 4.5 turbo. Apparently not able to use that yet other than through the API. But here's some cool stuff it can do. Number one, talking like I'm talking to my kid. Let's give an example of how I could create an image with DALL-E. Create a photorealistic image of a shaggy white dog flying through a modern glass city with a cape on and a cigar in its mouth with sunglasses on. Make it look as real as possible and have depth of field. Now, this prompt is just me making this up, but it's going to know, okay, I'm going to go talk to its companion product, DALL-E, and it's going to give you some samples, just like we did with Adobe. But once it gives it to you, the difference here is that you don't have the tools like you have in Adobe to actually edit the text or do other stuff. Not that that matters, but it's just an extra tool step. Now, this is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty decent. Now I would change it. Make it 16 by 9 format and give me 4 versions. Okay. Talking to my teenager. Got to tell it exactly what I want. You can't just let it sit there and do it on its own. So it might take a second to do this. I won't wait too long, but usually it's pretty fast. If it's not the peak time of the day, and especially as of late, really good. Now, one other thing I'm going to show you too, once this spits out, is I'm going to, okay, so now change the format, and I don't know if it did it layer it. It gave me one. This is, okay, so again, it's hallucinating. I only see one image. So you have to be on top of your game, and it says, oh, I'm sorry. You're right. That one image is not 4. Like your kid would go, oh, I didn't give you the change from the 100 for getting the gallon of milk. All right. So we don't have to wait for it to do it. It will make in the background 2 or 3 or 4, hopefully, depending on its mood, images. And then we can download them and edit them the way we want. But let's do another example. Let's do something where we do like live search. So I'm going to open this in another tab. Oh, well, okay. So it finished actually, which is good. So there's my first one. There's a 16:9. Then it gave me this one. And it still says there's 3 more available for you to view and download. But again, as you can tell, this is why ChatGPT 4 gives me anxiety. I can't argue with another teenager. I've already raised 3 of them. So, c'est la vie. Okay, let's change topics. And without creating a new chat, let's do this. Let's say, let's change. And here's an example. I want you to think like an expert WordPress developer and agency owner and recommend to me the URLs and names of the top SEO plugins in 2024. And be sure to give me the websites and the reasons why they are the best. Now, this is a really, really open stuff question. This is danger zone. I think it's probably going to show up all automotive seed prod. But if it doesn't, this is the reason why Google is no longer the king of the hill. The ChatGPT LLM engines do not rely upon the algorithms that were previously the source of all of the search results from private browser search engines like Google. So this gives you some chance of getting answers the way you want it on nuanced things, right? So it's listing these out with decent reasons. Notice it's also, giving like odd things, like that's a theme aisle, that's a blog result, that's a blog result. So it's not giving you the actual plugins themselves. It's giving you like results that it got from some blog posts. Now, here's an interesting result, and I'll move on to the next one. List out for me in the WordPress repository and show it in a table format the names and the URLs of the actual free plugins, not the reviews. So I'm saying now, look, I like that you gave me a review that I can read. Just give me the plugins, right? And I said, make it into a table. Now, ChatGPT can actually do that, which is pretty damn cool and very helpful if you're going to use a spreadsheet or something else, because from a research standpoint, this is what I would, in the past, this is what I would pay an assistant to do for me, right? Now, that's pretty, I was going to swear, that's pretty damn awesome. I mean, that's really super helpful. Now, when you're coding, you do not need to be a coder, but watch this. Let's completely change gears again and write me a simple plugin for WordPress that will have an admin dashboard tab called Spence, and inside of it, it lists these plugins as links I can click and automatically install. Make this a single PHP file. Now, this is super cool, and I want to relate back why this is super cool. You still have to learn your basic programming capability. But remember, I started today by saying I have the framework of WordPress. So Python and all these other languages that I could use, I mean, they're fine. I know them a little. But if I write PHP stuff and I know why, I can have this write me a plugin that I can install on a WordPress site in 2 seconds and will do exactly what I want. Now, I can either do this with a snippet, or I could say, can you give me this in zip format ready to install? ChatGPT actually will compile it into a zip file. You'll notice that it's executing this fancy schmancy script, Python itself, and it's going to make a zip file. But either I could use it as a copy and paste snippet or the zip file. And I don't know if you guys have the extra 2 minutes. Let's just actually install it, because this is pretty sexy. So I'm going to go here to zipwp.com and I'm going to make a new website for free. I'll do try.new, which, by the way, Adam and my friends Adam and Sujay, great tool for demonstrating stuff and trying stuff. It's a great product in general. But like, look, I just launched a new website. All right. So here I've got, let's download this plugin. By the way, I am a developer. I do play one on TV, but you could do this. You could literally do this if you're gung-ho. Ready? Let's do it. Let's add the new plugin. We're going to upload what I just created. All my secrets are out. Launch flows was a lie. No, I'm just kidding. You have to learn the languages. You have to understand what's under it. Jeff, ZipWP and InstaWP, I would say I have good relationships with both you guys. Vicus is way ahead in terms of what InstaWP does, but never bet against Sujay and Adam, because Vickis and I were arguing for 2 years, and he's finally sorted out all the stuff that I asked him to create, because we had talked about this from day one, and I wanted something where, guess where Launch Kit will be available. So I wanted something you could just launch your final solution on. I'd say use them both. I have InstaWP as a subscription. ZipWP is awesome, but ZipWP is missing some of the higher end features. So that is useful. All right, back to the show. Let's see if the plugin works. Look, I've got an admin menu in my framework called Spence. And look, there's the links. And I'm just going to, let's see if I click a link, will it actually install it? Now, it didn't follow my directions. It showed me a link. So I don't know, I'm feeling spicy. Can you fix the plugin so if I click on the links, it actually installs the plugin to that WordPress site? Give me back the zipped file. So what I've said is, hello, it didn't work exactly the way I wanted. Fix it. Now, sometimes it'll jibber jabber and do this stuff, but it's going to give me back the code. Now, I could also, instead of doing this as a plugin, zip file, I could just copy and paste this to the existing file, or I can go ahead and wait for it to give me another zip file. Either way. But what it's doing is it's modifying the behavior. And this is the thing where I talked about where you have to know how to think. Like, I have to know that there's a gallon of 2% milk at the Walgreens for my kid to go buy and how much I think it costs and where it's located. I can't just be completely oblivious, because otherwise anything it tells me, I'm going to have to believe. Now it's making the zip file, which I'll just wait for because I'm lazy. But I could have just copied and pasted this into something like the Fluent Snippets plugin or so forth. Now, I'm not going to stay all geeky because I want to show you a couple of these other things real quick, but we've still got time. What is interesting is this is also a great tool for somebody to learn how to develop and code, because when you ask it certain things, it shows you recommended ideas. And it's just almost like having your own professor, your own teacher, somebody who's willing to give you the stuff that you need. All right, so it's zipping it up for me, which I love. When I'm doing cloud, I actually do the copy paste. So I don't wait for this nonsense. I mean, the zip file is besides the point, but I figured I'd show you guys. Okay, so here's the new version of it. Let's just override it. We're going to go to plugins, and we can override it here, I think. I love that we're able to do this on the fly. Here's the updated. So the old one might be actually a different name. Activated. Hopefully it won't collide. I don't think it will. Okay, good. So it knows better. Version 1.1, right? So let's deactivate version 1.0. I love that it even knows how to serialize it, which means gives you a version number so you know which is which. And again, sometimes this happens. You have to kind of ignore the warning. So we're going to activate version 1.1. There's a little bit of weird output stuff, but let's see if it works. Install Slim SEO. Downloading package, download failed. So I was hoping for the best. It didn't exactly work. This is where the rubber hits the road, but we had fun with it. The point is, it's amazing that you can even do this kind of stuff. And if you keep it super simple, it's even better, because stuff like when you're doing CSS or jQuery, it helps you understand what you're going to use next. Okay, let's compare it to my favorite programmer, Cloud. Now, Cloud can work with images, right? So this is pretty cool. I'll just use this example. Like, here's a picture of something. What the hell is this? Okay, suggest a recipe for this dish and make it spicy. Also, now this is the cool part. Also, I'm doing a YouTube video for my Gen X crowd of folks who have IBS and other issues and really don't have a lot of time, let's say of time. See, I'm being specific. Make a YouTube friendly description that would attract a lot of folks, and make the title optimized for YouTube. Now watch what it's going to do. It's going to give me the recipe. It's going to focus on all these little attributes, right? That I would just have to spend endless amounts of time. It may not be right, but it's also going to give me the stuff that I could copy and paste into YouTube. So if you can think it, you can do it. If you can save what you've thought, you can make a framework, a TV dinner. If you could do that, you can then tell ChatGPT or Cloud in this case to remember what it was that was good about this, and then give it back to you in a form that you can feed it again later. Watch that. Okay, so let's see what it did for me. And I think you guys can hopefully see in 4K. But first of all, while it's pumping out, here's the recipe for spicy lemon pepper salmon, blah, 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 instructions and so forth. Here's the YouTube part, right? The title, 5-minute spicy salmon recipe for Gen X with IBS. I don't have IBS. I've got a lot of problems, but that one I don't have. And then the description. Hey there, fellow Gen Xers. Are you tired of blah, blah, blah? Now, remember I said you could change it. I could say, make the title shorter and more optimized, less campy, and likewise, no emoticons in description. Okay, so it'll fix that up real quick. And that way I've got like closer to what I want. So this is how you kind of hone it in, hone it in, hone it in. And then once you get like a balance, so now it says 5-minute spicy salmon recipe, IBS friendly, perfect. Got rid of all the other tchotchkes. Not, it even put in like the anchor tags, you know, to help if you're doing like for search tags. Now you can copy this, you can retry, do whatever. Here's the final frontier on this. Now, remember, it cannot generate images. That's the downside. If this was in ChatGPT, I could generate an image like a thumbnail for this. But what I can do is can you add some links to this to recipe sites that would be friendly for these types of eaters? So you can have it add in, like I said, these may be a year old by now, but links to other things that it has in its learning model, and it will weave them in there and so forth. Okay, so really it's a super cool tool. It reminds you that it doesn't have internet access. What I love about this the most, though, is that when I'm doing coding and other complicated stuff, I can feed it a screenshot. Watch this. Let's go here. I'll just do something crazy. I'm going to use my tool. You could see something. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the code or whatever. But let's just say I take this thing and I say to it, hey, by the way, what is this I'm looking at? And I think I can paste that in there just like that. Yeah. Now, it might not work, but it should be able to figure it out, which is, look at it. This is crazy stuff. I know if you've never used this before, you're like, what? But like you can literally put in a picture of something and say, what is this? And then ask it to relate. Now, one last thing about Claude. See this? I'm paying premium and I've only asked it a few things today. And it's already like, slow down, Tiger. You've only got 7 messages remaining until 3. I think they're balancing out their money on this. Notice there's 3 models too: Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku. Sonnet is good for coding. Opus is the high-end model. If you run out of time, you have to go to another one. Okay, let's roll on because I'm wrapping it up here. I want to just show you the highlights of this other one. I mentioned this create.ai. This is just create.ai. This is one that's really good as an engine for finding other tools. It's like a tool collection. So you'll see Midjourney, podcast. I mean, this is a good place to come find a lot of stuff quickly. Chatbots, image generation, video, music. Just go to town. Have fun with this one. Fathom. I've already described this to you, but now I'm going to show you the love of my life. I don't want to, I'm not going to disclose the videos of who I've got in here, but there might be a thumbnail. So warning, I've got the calls that I've just had. Sorry, Jessica and Anthony, I didn't mean to put you in there, but the idea is like all my calls are in here. If I scroll down all my calls, and I can even create playlists and so forth. But what's interesting about these things, and I don't want to disclose anything that's private with these folks. What's interesting with this thing is that it allows you to do the AI transcript. It emails to the person. It emails to me. It summarizes. It has a search engine. It's just incredibly useful and automatically happens every time I have a Zoom call. Let's just look at Grammarly real quick, the granddaddy. And again, it's free, no big deal, very useful. But you can essentially try it with your Google account. And again, I use it where I would create something and then type it in, or I'd create something and paste it in. There's a WordPress plugin for this as well. So you can use it in the actual WordPress editor. And then Lumen 5, very similar to what I was just describing with Canva, except let's see if I got an account here. I think I do. This is something that I would not use all the time. It's just something that if you don't otherwise have the tools that I mentioned, it might be useful. And there's a free version of this, so I think you can get away with the basic stuff. So here, for example, when I was telling you before, like, do I prefer to type instead of see stuff visually? Not really. I would rather go in Canva, ask for clips, put them on the timeline or something, than to do this where I can do a voiceover, I can do talking head, I can do text on media. But when you do this, it's like, now you got to type about a dog flying through a city and it's super dog. It saves hot dogs from being eaten. It's a hungry dog with sunglasses. I have no idea what I'm making, but the point is it makes a script. Then the script words will be used for composing the video. And then it takes the script words in the video, gives you these little options, convert it to video. And then you could choose a style, right? So I can go through the library of this and that or whatever. But if you're using it for like brainstorming, or if you don't have any video interest or skills, I think it's quite an interesting product and definitely something that is not going to go away. But what it's really good for is like promotional stuff, probably. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to take to generate, so I'm not going to sit here and watch it, but oh, not too bad. So you can see here, it's made like, here's the title, here, not quite a shaggy dog. Definitely not a shaggy dog, but you know, it's taking the words in the script and it's making like an animated slideshow. And then you can preview it or publish it. This is kind of stuff you'll see on Instagram now, which is, by the way, slightly annoying. Okay. I want to say I was very excited about today. I had a great turnout. You guys have been really, really awesome. I would encourage everybody to try these tools. Let me know if you like this 4K thing, because I'll probably stick with it. Also, I could not be more excited because I've been coding my head off. I've been able to sit at the coding desk here for a while. So I've got that new long awaited, and actually I have a lineup of buyers. You're going to get an email. I have the new drag and drop WooCommerce My Account tool that's going to be sold as a standalone, but it will also be part of the modular Launch Flows 5.0. I am going to honor those who have Launch Flows 4.0 lifetime stuff. I'm going to honor those folks by putting a version of it in there, but I would really like to say that it's going to be part of Launch Kit for free, built in. It's going to be honored in the grandfather for my Launch Flows 4X folks. But I'm going to also be releasing, as part of my own simplicity, these a la carte tools that do one thing really well. And what this does is it essentially, I used all the same tools here. It allows you to have your 4 necessary stages, right? You have a sales page, you have a checkout, you have a thank you page or post checkout, and then you have like a custom My Account. This is for folks to have a dashboard for any WordPress site that runs WordPress and WooCommerce in a way that makes sense just using your off-the-shelf page builder. So you don't have to do all the shenanigans. And because of that, I'm going to sell this independently, as well as part of, hopefully you guys join me on Launch Kit. Had great luck this week with signing a bunch of new clients. A new partnership is starting in May. I feel the vibe is coming. So let me know if you enjoyed this. Share this with your friends. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Let me know if you'd like more content like this. I've been getting great comments from folks who are saying specifically what they want. By the way, the two little twists on my own content besides the WordPress business stuff is I've got a lot of great compliments, folks saying they like it when I talk about in my shorts, capitalism and spirituality. And I don't mean religion. I mean like living as a spiritual being in a physical world, trying to make sense of it. And they've also said they like it when I talk about Gen X and older topics, like what's it like for somebody who's not 25 to do really creative, fun stuff, maybe make a livelihood or a side hustle. So let me know what other stuff you'd like to know, because I think that really ties in with my own interests and ability to deliver on experience. I'll see you for the next video. Tomorrow, I'm doing a show with Chris Latham, unless something changes. Usually we do 10:30 tomorrow morning, related to marketing automation and the Launch Kit. I'll see you guys then. Ciao. Bye.